mate.
And welcome back to Subculture this Sunday morning on centralcoastradio.com. Now, we've got something very special for you right now. If you're a fan of the Angels, then something very special is happening under the guise of Brewster Brothers Electric. But I can't tell you what exactly is going on, so the best person to actually let you know what is going on is to get John Brewster on the phone right now. So welcome to the program, John.
Thanks, Dave. Nice to be with you.
So, John, tell us a little bit about what is happening with these very special shows and this brand new EP as well.
Yeah, the thing is that, as you would know, we've been around for a long time. In fact, next year in 2024, we're celebrating our 50 years.
Yep.
So that's kind of a big deal for us. But the thing is, Dave Gleeson also sings in the Screaming Jets, as you would know.
Yep.
And so, you know, we were talking one day and we were saying, isn't it a shame that there's a whole lot of songs that people love that we can't do, because most of the shows we do with Dave as the Angels, we play for, you know, like an hour. So it's all the hits, you know, all the songs that people love. But there's also a whole lot of other songs that our fans love, which we never get to play. So we just thought, in some mad moment, that wouldn't it be great to do that? So how would we do it? Well, our drummer, Nick Norton, happens to be a brilliant frontman. He's a great singer. He can do everything. He plays guitar. He's incredible. So we thought, okay, let's just do a few shows. But if you're going to do a few shows, you also got to record something. So you've got someone to hang the hat on, if you like. And so we went into the studio with Ricky Ray down in Melbourne with Mick Skelton playing drums with us, and we recorded 4 tracks, which are Angels rarities in themselves, except one, which is Lives of Grace, which we titled the EP Lives of Grace. It's a Brewster Brothers song, which we wrote at a period when we weren't actually performing the Angels. Anyway, I'm making a long-winded story of this, but it's fantastic. So the 2 shows that we do in New South Wales would be with my son Tom on the drums. There's going to be 4 Brewsters on stage and 1 Nick Norton at the front. And we're really excited about it.
Yeah, that is awesome. I know a lot of your fans are very, very excited about it as well. John, you've got so many songs, as you said, out there aside from the Angels hits. Was it difficult for you guys to sit down and work out what tracks you were going to do at these shows?
Yeah, it was incredibly difficult, actually, Dave, because there are a lot of songs, and also, you know, there are songs that we've done in more recent times. So we wanted to have a little smattering of that, but you can't do too much of that because people have expectations of, you know, so like, for example, we're going to do Eat City, which we haven't done for years, and that was a big hit for us. We're going to do Don't Waste My Time, which I think is, it's a song that the band did when I was actually not in the band for a while, and I think that's a brilliant song. We're doing 3 songs off the Skin and Bone album, which is the last album that we did with Doc back in at the end of the 90s. And so we're doing Moving On, Invisible Man, and Call That Living. And, they're great songs. I love that album. It just was a bit overlooked. We were with a different record company, and it wasn't quite a marriage made in heaven. So, yeah. Again, I'm making a long-winded, but so it'll be, the songs in there like Out of the Blue. We might even do Alexander. People love Alexander for some reason. I don't know. It was difficult.
Have you found it to be a bit of an emotional journey as well, going back over those tracks? We've had some artists on our show in the past that have gone back and done these shows where they play an entire album from front to back, and they've said that going back to some of those tracks brings up emotional things for them because they remember when it was written or they remember what they were going through at that time. Have you found the same thing going back and looking at these tracks?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Dave. We've done the same thing. We've had a series of over the last few years where we've done we call it face-to-face recharge, where we've actually re-recorded the album, not to try and compete with the original Face to Face, but just so that we can share that album with Dave and my son Sam and Nick. Just go in the studio, record it live as well. We put out double albums of these things. So we did Face to Face Recharge, we then did No Exit Recharge, then Darkroom Recharge. And so, yeah, you're right. You know, we went back and played the whole album start to finish, and you do have recollections of what it was like at the time, particularly the days at Albert Studios where we were, with our great friends AC/DC, and who used to hang out with us when we were recording, and we'd hang out with them when they were recording. I'll never forget I was there when they recorded Let There Be Rock, which was one of my greatest experiences, watching them do that track.
Wow.
And they'd be there for us too, and sometimes we'd swap instruments. So it was like being part of a family with Harry Vanner and George Young. So, yes, emotions do come into the whole thing,
Yeah. Going back 50 years, like you said, next year is the 50th anniversary, and that is such a great milestone for the band. If someone had said to you 50 years ago that the Angels would still be going strong in 50 years' time, what would you have said to them?
I said, "You got to be joking." That's what I would have said. I remember in the old days, the journalists would say, "So how many years do you reckon you got in the band?" And I'd say, "I don't know, maybe 5 years." And then 5 years later, I'd get the same question. I'd say, "I don't know, maybe 5 years." And if you ask that question now, I'd say, "I don't know, maybe 5 years."
Yeah.
It's like, it's an ongoing thing, and we love what we do. I'm in my 70s now, and I'm reasonably, in good shape, and more or less, and quite fit, and I just love playing in the band,
And how have the audiences changed over those years as well? Of course, because I'm 43 now, and I grew up listening to your music through my dad. So how have audiences changed? Have you noticed now that you have multi-generational audiences coming along to shows?
Yeah, we do. I reckon there's people who probably come up having been introduced by their grandfathers.
Yeah.
Because we've been around that long. But, yeah, I mean, for example, the last time we did Governor Harmarsh in Adelaide, there was a bunch of people down the front. There would have been about 10 people down the front. And I reckon that the average age would have been 19.
Yep.
Like really young. And we were doing the Darkroom album, and they sang along with every song on that record. And then we did a second set with other songs, and they were singing along with everything. And I thought, well, wow,
yeah.
They're not just coming along out of curiosity; they're into the band, So we're constantly amazed at how many young people come and see us play.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask about that.
It says a lot about rock.
Yeah, we see a lot of people who criticise the younger generation and the music that they listen to, but from a rock and alternative music point of view that I come from, I see a lot of young people these days embracing Aussie rock and Aussie alternative music. Is that what you've found as well?
Absolutely, and we're very grateful for it. We never take anything for granted. But I can tell you that, we're about to do Byron Bay Blues Fest, and for the second year running, and achievement, getting those kind of gigs. We just came back from New Zealand, where we did 2 shows with ZZ Top and Pat Benatar and the Stone Temple Pilots, and we brained them. It was just great, and to be the age that I am now and still being in the Angels. Band that we started with Doc Neeson back in '74. It's pretty amazing, to be honest. Yeah.
So talking of major points in the band's history, having your son come into the band for these shows as well, what does that mean to you as a father and a musician as well?
Well, Sam's been playing bass with us since 2012, when our bass player Chris Bailey took sick with cancer, and sadly Chris didn't make it. So Sam did a Bachelor of Music degree and majored in guitar playing, and he's a fantastic guitarist, but he came into, as a temporary thing to play the bass, and he's become a brilliant bass player, and he obviously still with us. Life goes on. I've still got, if I could show you, I've got Chris Bailey up on my mantelpiece. I love the memory of Chris. He was a wonderful guy. Sam studied Chris's style, and he plays very much like Chris. So Sam's been with us a long time. I've got two other sons, both who can play with us. And Tom's playing the drums. Tom's not a professional musician, actually. He works as a project manager for a big landscape firm in Sydney. And you hand him a pair of drumsticks and put him up behind a drum kit, and it's magic. He's just such a great drummer. So yeah, it's very exciting for me and for Uncle Rick. Rick's we're swamping Rick with my side of the family, but Rick's got a son Jody who's an amazing musician too. He's been up on stage with us.
Awesome. Now, I know we are running out of time very, very quickly, but I wanted to ask quickly about the Angels Kicking Down the Door, the documentary. How did that feel for you, sitting down and watching a documentary on the band, but also what was your initial reaction when you were approached about the documentary as well?
Yeah, it started with a friend of mine, Peter Hanlon, who is retired down here to Victor Harbour. When I say retired, he's the most unretired person I've ever met. But he started a film company, and when COVID came, we started doing these long walks together. And he started asking me questions about, the band's history. And he said, I'm going to do a movie on you. So I introduced him to Michael Borgen in Sydney. Michael Borgen's a great friend of Rick and me, and he's the head of Beyond International. We drank a couple of bottles of Pinot Noir, and Michael and Peter shook hands, and they had a deal. So they produced the movie. I had no creative input to how it came about. We had a director, Madeline Parry, who's just amazing. And as she says in her interviews about the movie, it's not the story of the Angels, it's a story of the Angels, but it's a very significant period from 76 really to 86 when I left the band, when things went a bit haywire, when touring America and losing money hand over fist and stuff. It's all there in the movie. I squirm in my seat a bit because I get a little bit emotional in the movie. I'm a bit of a sook like that, but the interesting, you talked about emotion and having to recall what it was like at the time. Well, of course, the movie did a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it's done really well. It's actually done really well. Universal bought it in London, and it's now, you can stream it on YouTube, etc. But we've had a fantastic response to it. We opened the Adelaide Film Festival. They chose it to open their whole festival, which is a huge honour.
Definitely. And for all of our listeners out there, if you haven't seen that documentary, hunt down a copy because it is absolutely fantastic. John, to finish off, what would you like to say to our listeners out there who are thinking about heading along to these very special shows? Well, firstly, if you're Angels fans, we're grateful for that. And, we love our fans, always have. We pride ourselves on being a great live band. We prove that all the time. But I can tell you that the Bruce Brothers Electric show is going to be something different, and it's really exciting. Well, there you go, listeners. If you want to head along to any of these shows, all of those dates are up on our website, so check out subcultureentertainment.com for more information about those shows and where to grab tickets. John, thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday morning. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and I cannot wait to be able to check out your show. Lovely, Dave. It's great to talk to you as well. Thanks for having me.